Good afternoon, folks. Probably one of the first things that you're going to realize is I don't fit the normal demographic of an RMU student. I'm a 31-year vet. This is one of the things that's on my bucket list. I am a integrated cyber forensics and information security, and I do plan on, with Dr. Mishra's help, attending the doctoral program here at RMU as well. So, with that out of the way, next. My IT governance project is something that I was involved in while I was a civilian attached to the Air Force. We meant to improve battlespace awareness and update and upgrade a system that already exists. As you can see from this slide, there are many different data sources out in the battlespace today. Those data sources come in different formats. They come into a single unit called an air defense system or an air defense integrator system. It is sorely outdated and needed to be refreshed. So the Air Force hired on about 35 people, not specifically for this project, but for what they call a Tiger team. So we can quickly react to projects and taskings that needed to be done to assist our soldiers in the field and do it quickly. So what we intended to do was take the integrated stovepiped information. That means the Air Force had their group of data, the Army has their group of data, and they do not intertwine at all. So intelligence data that the Air Force collects, high altitude satellite aircraft, it's not getting down to the Army, to the soldier on the ground, walking around in a town with a strapped M16 on his back. And it's information that he needs and should have. So we decided to take this project on. We did our research for about 6 months. Next slide, please. We did our research for about 6 months, and we realized that there are about 3 objectives that we want to fulfill here. First, we want to reduce the possibility of blue-on-blue engagements. I'm sure most of you are young, but I'm sure that you'll understand the term fratricide. That's when one of the friendly forces fires on another friendly force. It's one of the worst things in the military that we can have. And we wanted to eliminate and or reduce as much as possible those blue-on-blue engagements. So we wanted to tell the blue forces in the Air Force and the blue forces in the Army where each other is, so we don't fire in that direction. We want to increase battlespace awareness. Not only could we give them where each other is in the same service or different services, but we could also impact and affect the enemy sites out there in this way. We have intelligence gathering sources throughout the services, and what we intended to do, and what we did, was put those dots out on the map as well. So if you've got blue forces moving into the area, they know where the bad guys are. The last thing, and this is the techie stuff, and I kept it very, very top level, we want to translate all data formats, all of those disparate data formats that are not talking to one another, to one standardized XML format that we can redistribute on all of the networks and put those dots on the map for everyone. Next slide, please. What we did right. I was a data manager, data librarian, data architect, but we also had 35 highly skilled pilots, engineers, project managers. We had our principal engineer as an MIT graduate. So we had some of the smartest people in the world. We had $1 million base budget. We had an unlimited travel budget because if you can imagine, we had to travel across the world to get all the information that we needed and did. We had a 1-year timeline, and we had access to the executive staff at each of the branches of the services. Here's the cool part. Software was completed under time and under budget and tested and vetted thoroughly. And it worked. Next slide, please. What went wrong? We had both internal and external processes, planning, and deployment problems. We didn't have a failure to recognize our external stakeholders primarily, and a failure to allow for nearly 1 year of system, network, and software certification. That security certification was a step that was brought up early on in the project and midway through the project, but nobody took it seriously. So we get to the end, we're under budget, under time, the software is ready to go, the soldiers need it in the field, and we cannot deploy it. Next slide, please. Well, we could have done better. Stakeholder management is the first thing that we grabbed a hold of. Let's, on the next project, find all of the stakeholders externally to the company and get with them and find out what the requirements are going to be. And of course, every company who has a problem latches on to process improvement. Next slide. Here's our external community, Army, Air Force, Marines, Pentagon. There's some folks that wear the dark black glasses that wanted or were interested in this program. But these two, the Air Force Senior Information Assurance Officer and Air Force Certification Authority, were the two that we bumped heads with. Next slide, please. So, was it the right approach to aggressively attack our processes? And was it the right approach to look at just the external and blame somebody, play the blame game, and blame our external stakeholders? Fix the stakeholder management and do the aggressive process improvement, and guess what? We started our next project and it was nearly a disaster because we had the same communication problems structurally inside our little group of 35 people. A study was recently done of 5,400 IT projects, and the limit was set at $15 million. So these projects had to be above $15 million initial budget, or they weren't counted in this study. 17% went so badly they jeopardized and put at risk the company going to business, the existence of the company. 45% went over budget, 17% went over time, and 54% provided less value for the company than when they started. Next slide, please. What should we have done? We should have reached out to organizations like ITGovernanceCaseS, who's been there, done this, already has case studies, already has a framework out there that we could have followed and used. COVID provides a framework for developing, implementing, and monitoring and improving information technology projects such as ours. Next slide. So an old proverb says, you can't truly solve a problem unless you truly understand the nature of the problem you're solving. That was our problem. We looked externally using the blame game rather than looking internally. We hired a very experienced project manager with experience in this field, and he reached out to folks that had already done this stuff, looked at our company in a very unbiased manner, and said we've got internal communication problems. We need to fix a problem in the way that we identify independent or interdependent tasks. One thing leads to another. Most folks in here have taken project management courses and know that we assign tasks and dependencies. We had a problem with that. We also needed to look at COVID, create the framework to identify our shortfalls. This program manager created a knowledge base or a knowledge portal on which the problems that we were having and the successes that we were having could be published to, and we could review that work. And the bottom-up approach to management. Again, I said, at the beginning of this process and this project, it was identified that we should look at security. And then midway through, again, somebody down at the bottom said, hey, we need to look at security. And everybody ignored them. So investing in value-adding practices. And that's what allowed us to be very successful. Next slide, please. The end result of the first case, software was complete, under budget, under time. There was a 1-year delay in getting it out to the field and to the soldiers that needed it on the ground because of our lack of implementing these processes and frameworks. We were $750,000 over budget, and the stakeholder needs were not met. Next slide. Any questions?